It seems an attack. It seems to be an attack on what we are, who we are, and how we live. They are going for the family structure, the sense of self, your food, your living arrangements, your well-being, and everything you find familiar. I've written many articles recently covering my thoughts on what's occurring. This one, like the others, are just observations and thoughts about our situation. It can't have escaped people's attention of the recent large event in Glasgow around the big climate lie, one where everyone and their billionaire attended, hilariously using all the tools they claim to want to minimise, to get them there and cater for them. It is a rather large case of do as I say, not as I do. But this to me has been brewing for quite some time, as with the other projects underway. Amongst all my interests, I like farming, agriculture and land management. Just general, so nothing major, and certainly not qualified. 20 years ago, the name Monsanto kept popping up. Some of my friends were quite miffed at this company that seemed to be owning patents on seeds, suing farmers for land, and all sorts of nefarious practices. I kept watching. I realised that if they control the food and water, you control the people. And I know I'm not unique in that realisation. But they needed to be strategic with it, otherwise it wouldn't work. Same with everything else going on now. Farming practices have been disrupted, corrupted, and changed for the purpose of ownership. Whoever owns the land you can grow food on wins. When the first foot and mouth outbreak happened, I thought then that it would be an advantage in the future to just cry wolf, and a certain modeller who is still employed does it a lot, and they can cripple farmers. But that won't be enough. They need to ensure the average person can't just start up or have a few animals. So I figured there would be more localised outbreaks of foot and mouth, bird and swine flu, which would only affect the farms they wanted it to. That company recently was purchased by Bayer, I believe, taking more control now of Indian farmland and associated with a certain foundation that seems to get around a lot. Being able to shout outbreak whenever you needed to would pave the way nicely to impose rules and regulations, their favourite, towards smallholders. They have shown they already want to decide what shops you are allowed to have. Lockdowns have taken out a multitude of family-owned or run businesses. It didn't go unnoticed that small shops had to close, but multi-chain big corporations were allowed to continue. Freedom to look after and feed yourself are high on the list of things that must be eliminated, it would seem. From where I sit, it was sinister and coordinated. They want to debilitate the functionality of society, hoping that it becomes so unbearable that we will accept their vision of the future they have written for us. Fluoride in water, rations, no meat, don't drive, no holidays, no heating, no socialising, no fun. Sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Yet they openly discuss these things being part of our future, with only demented reasoning for it. Just because someone has visualised a future and is determined for it to happen does not make it so, unless it is just for them. It's important when I say their vision of the future, because we all have separate realities, and because someone tries to force theirs on you doesn't make it so. Willful people can be very insistent, persistent, and selfish. Add to that lots of money, a massive ego, and a god complex, and you have a recipe for a maniacal wannabe overlord. Great for the movies, turns out not so good for real life. Now is surely the time for everyone to understand we are in a manufactured state of affairs, with rather unstable characters sitting at the top. They have been at it for decades, but now they are changing the game, as they have done before, but this one is on our watch and in our time. There is much to be done.